Well, tell me. I mean, tell me about the empowerment model that you've put forth. How did that? Why empowerment? How did that come to be? That kind of.
That's a really interesting question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know where it came from. My presidential address when I was president of 35 was on empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
And I've done a lot of research looking at what everybody says about empowerment.
Mm-hmm.
So someplace along the way, I picked up the notion of empowerment, and I can't tell you where I got it from.
Okay.
Obviously, I didn't invent the word.
Mm-hmm.
The closest I can come way back when Bill Clinton was president, they set up empowerment zones in Los Angeles after the, and I think they started the word mostly. When I started looking up the history of it, there were empowerment zones and they used it for poor people and for African Americans, people disenfranchised in a sense, and it with people in mental facilities who were disabled or mentally challenged, if you will, and you don't just give them the rules, you empower them to develop their own rules, and therefore they're not going to throw trash outside the window, that kind of notion. If they can own it, then they're not going to trash it, then they will take responsibility. So someplace along there, we must have picked up the notion of empowering women, that women didn't have any power. But of course, it clearly comes from a feminist theory about what's the matter with society, and that is that patriarchy has all to do with power.
Yeah, one group holds all the power.
Yeah. And you never dislodge power without a revolution. So I really think that feminism is a revolution. It has been little by little. Revolutions go under cover for a while after maybe they either get squelched and discouraged, or they get a little bit of what they want, like women got the vote. Right. Oh, look we're all wonderful now, we have everything we want. Then we discover we don't. So then we have to build up our dissatisfaction again until it all erupted with maybe Betty Friedan and Gloria Steinem and those people coming out and reminding us that we don't have the power yet. And so, if you recall that there's a lot written about what's power, and it wasn't Jan Yoder, talking about power over, it's power to do things for ourselves.
Right.
And so it seemed to us, and that's where I began to think about feminist therapy as a way to empower women to believe in themselves, to not integrate all the messages. And so a lot of therapy has to do with what were the messages you got as a child. Who told you couldn't do anything? You hear me saying at my point, many points in my life, and I suspect many of us do, I couldn't do that. One of the very proudest things, and I'll get back to this in just a minute, but I have to digress or I'll forget it. Of the proudest thing that I have done, I think, was to encourage and empower women to believe that they could get a degree, that they're smart, they could get a PhD. You cannot believe how many women would come in. I just want to get a master's so I can get a job. And I saw myself back there 40 years before saying that. But I had men to tell me, oh yes, you're smart, you can do it. But women are still believing this 40 years later. And so convincing women that yes, you can do it, and I'll support you, and the nice thing that we were able to do in the empowerment of students now is to help them understand that their lives are important, and not doing somebody else's research or following something I read in the Psych Bulletin or Psych Review. That's really important. I think I should be doing that. No. Should you be doing Judith Worrell's research? No, not unless it really grabs you. You do what's relevant to your life. And so then you had women doing things that were related to their life in terms of sexual assault and physical domestic violence. I'll use the word domestic loosely. Male violence against women, things like this, because they could tune into their own experiences and relate to what their own experiences were, and they did better work because of it. So that's part of empowerment.